Hey guys, welcome back to the How to Play series, and in today's video we're talking all about Emperor Palpatine. And we're going to talk about his three main abilities, star cards you should be using if you're playing as Palpatine, his weaknesses, and where he excels in Battlefront 2. And this is as of the Rise of Skywalker update, so any updates that happen to him I will cover in a future video, but as of right now let's talk about how the Emperor is at this current state. And let's start off with his abilities. On the far left we have Chain Lightning. Force Lightning strikes a nearby target and then spreads to hit other nearby enemies, and this is very powerful in close quarters scenarios. Now, when it comes to big open battles like the one you're seeing here, it isn't a very effective ability as people are normally spread out, meaning it might hit one other person, but other than that, it's not really going to affect that many people. But if you can use this in a close quarters scenario, you're able to take down a lot of opponents at once, and it can become a very powerful ability. Now moving on to his middle ability, it's Dark Aurora, and the area around the Emperor is charged with force energy, damaging and slowing foes. This is also extremely powerful in a close quarters scenario as it slows all hostiles down and constantly damages them if they're in the area, meaning if you do this in a tight hallway, the chances of them being able to escape are very low, making it a very powerful ability. And finally, on the right, we have Electrocute. Palpatine immobilizes enemies in front of him with an electrical energy shield. Like, he basically slams it to the ground and puts a wave of electricity forward, damaging enemies and freezing them in place for a few seconds, which is very powerful, like most of his abilities in a close quarters scenario. Palpatine is all meant for close quarters, and his lightning has a decently far range, allowing him to immobilize and deal with most other heroes without having to get extremely close to them, which is very useful in all combat scenarios. Palpatine also has very quick dodges and is able to move faster than any other hero when he's dodging. His spin he does through the air is probably the fastest dodge in the game, and that's even counting the B2 battle droid's glitched jump, which takes him very far. Palpatine also has one of the highest damage outputs of heroes with the longest range, rivaling that of blasters with his lightning. Now, one thing I'm going to cover real quick that doesn't really have to do with his abilities is most people only hold down the R2 trigger to fire lightning from his right hand, but Palpatine actually can fire lightning from both hands if you hold down the aim and fire button, meaning he can deal double damage that most people don't take advantage of. And like I said before, Palpatine excels in close quarters environments against any kind of class, other than maybe Jedi, because lightsaber heroes can not only block his lightning, but if they're Yoda, they can send it back at him to deal damage, which is a very deadly ability, seeing as his lightning is so very powerful. Now let's talk about his disabilities, and this is basically a very small category. Palpatine is only really at a disadvantage in large open maps, as his lightning just doesn't have the range and fire rate to really deal with that many opponents at once, putting him at a very high disadvantage when compared to other heroes or blaster soldiers in that area. Along with this, Palpatine has no block. As I just referenced, Palpatine can hold down his aim and fire trigger to put out two different charges of electricity. And this means that Palpatine has no way to block incoming damage, which is probably why his dodge takes him so far. As Palpatine, if you're in a large open map, you need to constantly have cover around you, or you are at high risk of getting killed very quickly, seeing as Palpatine only has 800 base HP, and he can die very quickly due to that low amount of HP compared to other heroes, such as Darth Vader. Now this leads us to our final section of the video, and that is talking about the 3 star cards you should probably be running if you're playing Emperor Palpatine and want to play him more effectively than you already are. And the first one is In Full Control. This, basically, Emperor Palpatine's lightning attacks drain less stamina. Now, Palpatine has a very low stamina, but here's the thing. The second you stop firing, his stamina recharges completely instantly. But the problem is that still means you have to stop firing, and one of the cool things about Palpatine is you can do a lot of firing, and so being able to fire even longer means he can put out even more damage without having to stop for a second or two just to get his AP all the way back up, which is a disadvantage most heroes have. But Palpatine doesn't have it as badly as most of them, putting him at a higher placement, basically. And now, moving into the next one, this is actually a very powerful star card. And this is Lightning Reach. Emperor Palpatine's lightning attacks have increased damage. Now, if you're only holding down one hand and have the star card equipped, you deal the amount of damage you do with both hands. Now, if you use both hands and have this card equipped, then you do massive amounts of damage and can almost 1 to 2 shot opponents. And I know lightning doesn't really fire, but I think you guys get what I'm trying to say here. It makes it very, very powerful. And now, the final star card you should have equipped as Palpatine is one that has to do with his low health, and this is Lightning Absorption. Every target struck by chain lightning, which is one of his most powerful abilities, as it thunderstrucks lightning across multiple people, will heal Emperor Palpatine for a small amount of health. Now, Palpatine only has 800 health, but the cool thing about this ability is if he gets max health and then he does it again, uses lightning chain and gets that bonus health doesn't add on to his max health, but when he takes damage it adds on, meaning that technically Palpatine can go over his 800 HP limit if you're able to use this. Now, of course, they balance this because you have to wait for the star card to regenerate, but you're still able to use this very effectively if Palpatine gets low on health to heal him back up by just attacking large groups of people. And if you have the bonus lightning damage on, this becomes a very powerful ability. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know this one was a bit longer than most of the other ones, but Palpatine is a very complex hero, and I wanted to get down all the tough things you need to know about him. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it, maybe subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you thought about it. And with that, this is J-Man the Joker signing off. Have an awesome rest of the day, and peace.